This is Spineshank. I recognize that riff. You guys remember Spineshank? I always thought I wasn't like ever too familiar with Spineshank or whatever. I remember they're another band that would pop up a lot on these compilations back in the day. Spineshank. I remember this particular tune I picked. I think is like their most well-known track. It's called "Detached," and in particular, I remember getting like one of those demo. I talk about it all the time, especially with new metal files. Back in the day, you would get compilations up your ass if you were going to shows. You have like different street teams just handing shit out. You know, when you're waiting in line, you used to have people walk around with boxes and just you leave. By the time you get into the show, you have a pocket full of free CDs, and I just miss those days. I don't know if that happens at all anymore. I recently found a stack of those old CDs. Maybe we'll see what's on those sons of bitches at some point. But I remember there being a version of Detached that was different than the one that was on the album. And I remember it being just a little bit more aggressive, a little more raw. And by the time it got put out there, it was much more of like somber, kind of a radio take. But Spineshank always had a real undertone of just to me, Spineshank always came across as like more serious, more realistic, if you will, with their lyrical content and whatnot, and just such a downer. Like there was these groups like they weren't very happy, with their outward appearance or their sound or their style. And to me, Spineshank really shined a lot in different with the whole genre overall. But I always felt there was like that undertone of just sadness and like what's the word I'm looking for? Like just melancholy, if you will. Now I remember this song having a demo version, as I stated, and the chorus was like detached and screaming, and it was way more aggressive. In the version we got, it's more detached or some shit like that. Classic track, really a good tune. Much like Ultra Spank, how like Ultra Spank, I think wasn't a band that was well remembered, but they had some good music, man. They had some good tunes. These guys are getting it, man. They're rocking out. Like, this is a cool tune. They're not doing anything too spectacular, but in the era of the bouncy, spiky-haired rap metal, this is pretty tight. It looks like they're opening for Biohazard. There's a giant Biohazard banner behind them. There's that new metal shit creeping in, though. But again, I think they did it really cool, man. This song, Detached, is just so depressing. Yeah, okay. So, Spineshank. Once again, like I've always loved that track. There's some more tunes from them. I personally think that they're more like. I personally think that Spineshank is kind of leaned more on the industrial side of things, from what I remember at least. Like they went a lot. They went to a lot of places with their career. From what I remember, I want to say they had like 3 or 4 albums out. Strictly Diesel, it was called, I believe. I think that was their first album, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at what Wikipedia has to say about Spineshank. Let's see. Spineshank was an American metal band from Los Angeles. Okay, the band released 4 studio albums: Strictly Diesel in 1998, Height of Callousness in 2000, Self-Destructive Pattern 2003, and Anger, Denial, Acceptance in 2012. Well, they got 4 albums out. It looks like maybe we can do an I Just Listened to Spineshank. Last time I did a Dema, that was quite the project. That was a lot of shit to listen to, man. And especially considering that I haven't really, dived into this stuff in particular. And they were definitely like, they had a big push For whatever reason, Spineshank just didn't click. Like that first album, at least I know for sure, was on Roadrunner Records, and they got like huge pushes with Ozfest and whatnot. I remember seeing their names alongside bands like Cold Chamber, and I'm sure at some point Spineshank even toured with Nonpoint or some shit. So it's like these dudes got around in the time, and they are pretty well remembered. It's pretty crazy. Like I'm pretty sure once everyone sees this, the people are gonna be like, "Oh, dude, glad you touched on fucking Spineshank." I will be touching more on them. I think there's more to look into this. I think there's a lot more we can talk about, and if their sound um, stays anywhere near like this track that I really do like, it stuck with me after all these years. I mean, I'm pretty much I'm looking forward to seeing what else they have to offer. The last album came out like over 10 years ago, so little behind the game. But hey, we'll dive into that a bit later. What do you guys think of Spineshank? Let me know down below.